This is Mainstream Metaphysics with your host, Nick Newmont.
Hey there, it's Tuesday night in Los Angeles. Welcome to Mainstream Metaphysics. I am Nick Newmont. This is Carmen Mormino back on the show again. Been on quite a few times, and proud to say that Mainstream Metaphysics is broadcasting on the Newmont Consciousness Network here in the studios of Conejo Valley Talk Radio. And behind the scenes, Ed Hunt is manning the show as always. He's got us under control, so he thinks, right?
Oh, yeah. He's wearing pajamas.
And you're not. It's hard to believe, this is a few days before Thanksgiving. I mean, this is wild. I mean, today's November 21st. You know, the holidays are in full swing, and really looking forward to closing out the year, in a very strong way. And of course, we are going to talk numbers and real estate tonight and trends for 2024. Just a quick note, tomorrow night, Audrey will not be broadcasting Conscious Mind Tripping. It's the night before Thanksgiving. In her words, who's going to be watching? So she'll resume next week. And, two quick notes before we jump into the show. My guest next week is returning astrologer Lisa Allen, and we will be looking at the astrology for 2024. A lot of fun with that. And then big event at the Newmont Center, Saturday, December 2nd, we are having an open house. And that open house is going to include everything that we have for sale and at discount prices, just in time for holiday shopping. So if you're watching the show tonight and you're not part of our email contact list, please get a hold of me, 818-865-8770, or Audrey, 818-665-6165, and we'll repeat this information before we close the show. So before we jump in, it's really important, and I know we make jokes about Thanksgiving, eating like crazy and all that, but it is time to be grateful for the harvest and whatever we received, in the past year. And everybody has a lot to be grateful for. And a lot of that is just be grateful for the fact that you're alive, you have your health, you're here for another year and ready to go into another year. But also be grateful for the people that you have around you, whether it's family, friends, clients. It's a good time to stop and just really think about what has transpired over the past year, which is, in another month, 5 weeks, this year is gone. Mm-hmm. And it's really easy to look back and think, oh, it's February. In fact,
that's a big month.
I know, right? Sorry. That's your birthday month.
Oh my God!
See?
Can you believe it? Okay.
See? So in my phone, there is that NORAD Santa tracker. Okay. Mm-hmm. And it's the app, and it's popular as we get into coming weeks. And so I've never done this before, but I left it in my phone all year, and it was weird to look at it back in February, and it would say like 300 days until Christmas, and it's like, that's a long way away. Now we're literally at what, 33, whatever it is, 33 days until Christmas. Good Lord. Mm-hmm. It's really, really and truly moving on. So I want to talk about with you, we really want to talk a lot about real estate and trends and what 2024 looks like. But I want to do a review over the last couple years, and there is Miss Audrey watching. Hi, Audrey. Thank you.
Stalker.
So, what?
Stalker.
Stalker, yes. So, what I want to look at, and you're going to be able to relate to this, all right? So when we go back to 2022, and I did the math for those of you that are second grade math challenged, we add 2 and 2 and 2, and that equals 6, all right? So in 2022, real estate did well, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
And think about that one.
Yeah.
All right. So, and I have a lot of realtor clients, so I know the trends. I don't need to just pull up the newspaper. I know what's going on. So 2022 was a good year. It was a very good year in the health industry too, which we happen to be in. And 6 in numerology does represent homes, real estate, houses, all of that. All right. Then we go into 2023, which adds up to 7. Now, what was this past year like? So,
Are you talking personally?
real estate, I'm telling you, I have a lot of realtor clients.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't doom and gloom like you hear all over the media and everything.
No.
It was not. It was just interesting.
Well, the number 7 represents anything that's spiritual, esoteric, anything that's up in the head. And 7 rules anything that is metaphysical, educational. And the Newmont Center had a good year, in 2023. However, when the number 7, which represents esoteric, invisibility, anything like that, translates into the physical realm, then what happens is things that we rely on as tangible become invisible. All right? People in a 7-year, a universal 7-year, are up in their head too much. Now, we leave that behind and we go to 2024, which is the upcoming year. 2, 2, and 4 equal 8. 8 is about money, making money, managing money, thinking big, all right? Doing things on a grand scale. So since we're going into 2024, the thing that we want to emphasize tonight really does have to do with money and tangible things, but because 8 has to do with things that are grand, to think big. Now, there are various businesses, different aspects that where it wasn't as good, all right? And so it's very easy when you be in a 7-year, when you're very kind of heady, to get up in your head too much and then start to think too much, or when you get into negative aspects of heady things, that's worry, fear, anything of that nature. Which means that going into 2024, some people may be anticipating, maybe it's not so good, the trend is there. And I say no, okay? When we go into an 8-year, we need to be thinking about big money, managing money, material things, not to be overly materialistic, but to think of what the number 8 represents. Taking charge, a position of leadership, executive ability, businesses, the whole concept of businesses, including, by the way, brick and mortar, rebounding. And this is one of the predictions that I'm going to make about 2024. We know that there's a certain amount of businesses that went internet-driven and less brick and mortar. As we're sitting here today on November 21st, 2023, look for a return, a trend back toward brick and mortar in 2024, okay? And that should make especially commercial realtors very happy, and landlords or building owners that are sitting there with, a lot of ghosts as tenants, right? So I look for this to be a good year, and I'll talk about it next week with Lisa astrologically and what I'm looking for, especially what I see in the month of April. So when you say a year when it comes to real estate and various businesses was interesting, all right, and I invite you to articulate that in any way. Some of it's not so much you being up in your head. You have prospective clients, and you have a lot of intangibles that are going on that can be intimidating, right?
Right.
Okay? And in a 7-year, when people are up in their heads, a lot of people don't have the mathematical mind that you and I have, where we can look at numbers and go, oh, that's what that is. That's how it's going to play out. It's like, say, a baseball player that's batting .340 into September, and he goes 0 for 4. His batting average isn't going to plummet.
Change, yeah.
It'll drop 1.5 points maybe at that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So speaking of dropping 1.5 points, first of all, what do you see for interest rates for mortgage loans in the year ahead?
Well, okay, so I said at the beginning of the year, but I'll say it about this coming year. Interest rates are going to come down. Now, look, there could be the unexpected event and like something goes wacky, of course. But interest rates, here, I'll give you an example. So this past week, interest rates came down. It was the biggest drop since the beginning of COVID. Not the drop itself was the biggest since.
A percentage drop.
Yeah, and I had like 3 or 4 clients that I'm working with who kind of took their foot off the gas. Like they called me, oh, interest rates dropped. They didn't even care what they dropped to. They just heard interest rates dropped. Okay.
Now, when you said clients, are these homeowners or buyers?
Buyers,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
So, well, there's a whole many layers to this whole thing, but
Okay.
all the predictions are saying that interest rates are going to keep dropping, and after the holidays, into January, they're going to drop some more. And consistently, I've heard like by the end of next year, they're going to back down about 5%, which is great. That's wonderful. But I have buyers who are saying we're going to wait for interest rates to drop. And I go, that's cool. And I'm like, see all the traffic backed up on the 101? All those people are waiting for interest rates to drop. So,
Good analogy.
yeah, I mean, so right now they're like in the mid 7s, which is historically still great. That's not bad. But buyers, when they went up last August, September, October, buyers were comparing it to when they were like 2.8%. Like, oh, we're not going to buy anything. We're going to wait till next year when interest rates come down. How'd that work out? And I always say trying to play the market is like going to Vegas and trying to beat the casino. Let me know how that turns out. So as interest rates come down, now if they dip, I guarantee it. When they dip below 7, if it's 6.8, 6.7, buyers are going to come out in droves because they're comparing it to when it was almost 8%.
Right.
So now 6.8, 6.7, 6.5 doesn't sound that bad. That's great. So buyers are like, then our payments will be lower. I'm like, cool, but all those people on the 101, they're going to come out and they're going to say, we want to buy a house. But then you have Mr. and Mrs. Seller who want to sell their house, but their interest rate is 2.8%, and they're going, why are we going to sell? We're not going to sell at 2.8% and buy something and have an interest rate that's 6.5%. So there's going to be no inventory. So there's this little theory that I've heard of before. It's called supply and demand.
Right.
So you're going to have all these buyers coming out, and there's still buyers out there. There's just no inventory. So you're going to have all those buyers coming out, and there's still going to be no inventory. So what's that going to do to prices? It's going to drive the prices up. It's going to be crazy time. And if sellers start to see 6.5%, 6%, they might be more willing to sell. But the only before, during COVID, it was sellers were selling because they can get $1 gazillion for their one-bedroom condo that doesn't have windows. Like they can just get so they were selling like, we'll figure out where to go. But now it's a matter of sellers are only selling if they're relocating out of state, if they got a job transfer, or if they want to downsize. Otherwise, nobody's going anywhere. They'd rather redo their kitchen and bathrooms for anybody, people could do what they want, but I'm just telling people don't. I just talked to somebody today. They heard interest rates came down. We're going to start working together. I said, if you could pull something off by the end of the year and find something you love, you're going to be golden because next year interest rates are going to come down. You could refinance. In the meantime, the value of your home is going to go up. So it's a perfect window. But that's, I just go by what I hear from the experts, what interest rates are going to do. And they've already come down.
Right.
And I said this a few months ago. Keep an eye on interest rates because when they start coming down, there's going to be a higher demand. So that's
right.
That's my prognostication. It's a lot of syllables.
So what you're saying is, right, big words.
Yeah.
So it could be if people are motivated and understand how the numbers work, be great for the buyers and great for the sellers.
Yeah, but with the buyers, I tell people, but don't. And this is what happened. I wasn't in real estate then, but when everything crashed, I knew and I wasn't in real estate, but I knew a lender who said, you should buy something now because, prices are going to keep skyrocketing, and don't worry if you can't afford it now. You'll be able to. My guidance is buy what you could afford now, not what you hope the interest rates to be. Buy what you could afford now, and then if when interest rates come down and prices go up, you're going to be golden. Don't bank on, well, we can't really afford this payment now, but when the rates come down to 5.5%, we can, because then you can get into a little bit of a jam. So,
Well, I can tell you that, when we had bought a home in 2005, and in 6 it went up, and from that point, 7, 8, 9, I mean, the property values really plummeted up. Then you get into 2015, 16, and then it was coming back up again.
Well, the prices plummeted because, and that's right before I got into it. Actually, I got in 2007. That was interesting, but people were losing their homes because they couldn't afford them, so
Right.
they were all going to short sale or foreclosure. So all the property values just tanked
That's
because they needed to get rid of the homes. So all the comps, everything just was
Wiped out.
Yeah, but now it's like you have to be able. It's this weird concept. You have to be able to qualify for a loan. It's just this weird little concept,
Right.
and so the prices. I just heard somebody moments ago say, "What do you think? Are the prices gonna like?" You didn't say crash, plummet, whatever. It's not going to happen.
Right.
And again, who am I to say?
I don't see that. I have a really fascinating question for you. And by the way, nothing is rehearsed, okay? So,
Ready to break into a song? Like
let's get
Mariah Carey's Christmas song. Sorry.
wow.
I can't think of the song. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you. It's welcome to the Carmen Mormino show.
All I want for Christmas is you.
And you can't have me. My wife is watching. All right. So, when we bought our home in 2005, we were both entrepreneurs, okay? And back then, we were able to buy the home via what's called stated income, okay? All right? Which, for a while, that went away. And stated income means that you don't have a W-2,
Yeah.
right? You have to have bank statements and show how much you have in savings. Now, in today's world, realistically, there are tons of entrepreneurs, all right? People that make money, their own business. They don't work for companies. They're not getting a check, okay? How is that working now?
Do your taxes.
Do your taxes?
Should show your tax returns. That's it. There's no stated income. I mean, there might be some ways to do stated income, but I always preface it by saying before I got into real estate, because I wasn't part of the problem, but you can walk into a bank and they're like, "Where do you work?" "McDonald's." "What do you do?" "I make French fries." "How much you make?" "I don't know, $200,000 a year." "Really? Are you sure?" "Yeah." "Here's your loan. Here you go. Take it."
Right.
As long as you had a pulse, you can get a loan. That's what I would say. If they held a mirror up in front of your face and there was steam,
Right.
you can get a loan. But now you can't.
That's right.
You have to be able to, and so that's why the prices aren't going to come down. They're not going to crash. Nothing because, and some people are saying, well, people overpaid for their homes. As long as they could afford their home, who cares what they paid for
Right,
it?
right.
It's like they can afford their home. So, but there, I don't even know if there's any stated income programs anymore. You have to be able to show your
Right.
income.
Right, and that's what we did, but for a while they didn't want anyone, if you didn't work for a company and you didn't have pay stubs that showed, guaranteed income that you were gainfully employed.
If you got to show 2-3 years worth of tax returns to show your steady income,
Right.
they're fine. They're fine. But you don't have to have a paycheck every 2 weeks, and you just have to show your income.
Right,
That's it.
right.
So,
What nowadays, when you're buying a home, what are the down payment requirements? What percentage?
you could do an FHA loan for 3%. There's really no requirements. It's what you could afford. Sorry for the quick answer, but it's usually 20% is good.
Right.
But it's just based on what you could afford and the loan to value ratio and your income and your debt to income and all that stuff. They just factor it all in. But there's no requirement like you have to put. FHA loan is like 3%. Yeah, so 3%. But there's no real requirements. It's just what you can qualify for.
Right.
Right. If you only have 10%, then you have to look at a home that putting 10% down, you'll be able to afford that monthly payment. So, yeah.
Now, do you, even before someone gets to the bank, how much do you pre-qualify? How much do you look at that they wouldn't even think of?
I don't.
You don't?
I send them. The people I talked to today, they're like, what should we do first? I'm like, here's 3 lenders. I love them all. They do great jobs. Talk to them. Find out, because sometimes people are going, let's go look at homes, and they see a home like, we love it, and they make an offer like, wait, we can't afford this, or they're like, we can only afford X. Then they go to the lender like, no, you could afford more than that. So for me, I just need to know what can you afford, and then we go looking.
Right.
So,
right.
I mean, yeah, I'll ask somebody on the phone, how's your credit? Is your credit score good? Is, your income, do you have, are you employed? I'll just ask them the basic questions, and if they're ready to go, they're ready to go.
Right.
And sometimes somebody will have to wait a year and work on their credit score or show another year's worth of tax returns. But there's no point. I mean, I'll show people homes all day long, but I don't want them to get their hopes up and then they find out they can't afford it.
Sure.
And here's a word of, I have to say this. When somebody comes to me, I had a client recently who lived out of the country. They're from here. They were looking to buy in the area. And I said, that's called an expat, somebody who lives.
Right.
And I said, I have a lender who does it, all day long, handles it great, we'll get it done. I don't care who you use for a loan. And if it's somebody you know and you've known for 20 years, I'm like, use them. That's great. But this particular client decided to use a lender they found online. And long story short, 5 days before they closed, they had to cancel the transaction.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's funny. I was going to ask you about this specific situation.
Yeah, well, about this specific one. And they lost. Well, I fought for it, thankfully, because when you remove all your contingencies and you back out, you lose your deposit. And it was a $45,000 deposit. And they're like, we learned our lesson. I'm like, not under my watch, you're not learning a lesson. So I didn't fight with the agent, but I fought for them. And I think they own, I don't say only, but I think I think they lost $25,000, which is better than 45.
Right,
but,
of course.
And thankfully, and the house, here's the deal. The house, they put it back on the market, and it went in escrow like 10 days later, so a week later. I knew they were going to sell the house, but moral of the story is I always compare it to you hurt your knee, and you go to the doctor, and the doctor goes, you blew out your ACL. You need surgery. And then you go, okay. And then you go home, and then you come back to the doctor like, I was looking online. And what if we do it this way? I'm like, so I'm not comparing myself to a doctor, but I've been doing it a long time. So when I give a client advice, it's for their best interest. And this one was that was painful to see. I've never in 16 years, had anybody lose a deposit. And this one killed me.
Yeah, that's it. Well, one thing about you, Carmen, is that you care about people. You really do. But you're also associated and affiliated with good people too. And when you told me that story a few weeks ago, obviously when someone who is an expert in their field and you're affiliated with other experts, it would seem right, okay, let's go with who you recommend.
That's the biggest thing. The only benefit I have of recommending a buyer to a lender is I know the loan will get done. That's it.
Right.
And sorry for all the lenders out there, but there's the great ones and there's the ones that will screw up a transaction. And in this case, he had me, and he sent it to me in a text, he had me remove all their contingencies. And then when everything went sideways, I'm like, why did you tell me to remove all their contingencies? He said, because I thought we had everything we needed. I was like, you thought?
Yeah.
You have to know. So, word to anybody out there who's watching in TV land, get a good lender, and you have to, I'm not pitching my own services, but find somebody who knows what they're doing. And you said I'm an expert. I'm not an expert. there's always new scenarios that take place that I learn every day. But there's something to be said about experience. And
Well, your experience shows that you know what you're doing, and you get the job done.
Yeah.
You know, and in all of our business that we're in, we're always learning new things and techniques, and you know, that's how we get better at what we do.
And even like on the listing side, either way, I'm not afraid to tell people things they don't want to hear. Because, like with a listing, if we want to sell it for this, I'm like, it'll never sell. I mean, I had that experience earlier in the year. I was like, it will never sell for that price, ever. Well, there's no inventory. I'm like, I don't care if it's the last house in civilization, it will never sell for that price. And it sat and sat and sat and sat. And it came a few months into it, which kills me. I keep saying that, but like when you hire me to do a job, I want to do it now.
Right.
And it was like three months into it, 4 months, I don't know. And the client was like, and they lived out of state. They're like, we don't understand, you know, why are we getting no showing? Why aren't we getting showings? I'm like, because your home is overpriced. Like, yes, but there's no inventory, and you know, the open houses nobody's coming to. I'm like, they're like, why? I'm like, because your home is overpriced. And then they said, but you know, we heard from like people that we know, there's multiple offers. Why don't we have any offers? I'm like, let me word it to you a different way. Your home is overpriced. And they were a bit, and I told them from the beginning what it should sell at. And they were so morbidly overpriced, but I was like, well, try it. I'll try it for a week, 10 days, see what happens. You know, hopefully there's an agent from Pasadena who knows nothing about the area, who's new, who writes an offer for their client at the asking price, and that's great. But in this case, I told them. They didn't listen. Then whose fault was it that it didn't sell? Mine. So they got a different agent, and it sold for exactly the number I told them it would sell for. So if you hire somebody to do a job, let them do their job.
Exactly.
Unless they're not good.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
then you'll know. But it's interesting.
Well, it's as you know better than I do that, you know, buying and selling a home is one of the most emotional things that can happen. Look, you know, as you know, a couple of months ago, we moved home. We rented. We didn't buy, you know, and there's a lot of emotion that goes with that.
Hell yeah.
In fact, I can tell you this, how emotional it can be. I mean, not yelling and screaming. What?
No, I'm saying I helped you. I was like a basket case as far as like, and I shouldn't go on the emotional. My clients never see me go on the emotional ride with them. Like never. They're always like, "You're so calm." I'm like, but in that particular case, Audrey and Milena or Serena, who went to the house first?
Serena.
They called me, "Oh my God, this house!" And then like, I was like, "We got to jump on this." And I mean, just the emotional part of it, you know. They who are very calm and, you know, centered and I saw different sides of that, and it was. I wanted them to get it so bad, and it's a very emotional time. Renting, buying, it doesn't matter. It's, and I always know with clients when we open escrow, when we open escrow, usually they wig out when it's time to remove all the contingencies, but if at some point, if I'm working with the buyers, they're gonna freak out.
Right.
And if they're calm the whole way, I'm like, oh boy. Sometimes, right when the offer gets accepted, they freak out. I'm like, cool, we got that out of the way. But it's coming.
Right.
When we bought our house, I was like, this is a piece of cake. Walk in the park 10 years ago. I do this all the time. And Mary Lee and I, my beautiful bride and I, to this day, we were my worst clients I've ever had. We were just...
Well, physician, heal thyself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so, but...
Well, when we were dealing with, and Carmen was a great help when we were renting this house, and there's something about rentals that I want to talk about in tonight too, because that's part of real estate. So we were dealing with a realtor, a young gentleman on the other side that was not real experienced. And so as everything was moving along fine, you know, and he calls me and said, well, we have a little bit of an issue. I got your income numbers, and it doesn't add up to what you say. And I asked him, what do you have? And he said what he had. And I said, you're missing a lot of information. You know, I said, you need to look at this email. And then he went back later and goes, oh, Okay.
Yeah,
It's like,
this is what I deal with all day long. I always say, should I say this? I don't get paid well to work for my clients. I get paid well to deal with other agents sometimes because
Right.
it's just the behind the scenes stuff is like, seriously? But there's
Yep.
great ones out there. There's
Right.
great ones.
And
And
it-
I do think after this year and with things going on right now, there's going to be a drop off in people that keep their license. I see it coming.
yeah, one of our longtime friends that's a realtor on the West Side, her name is Terry Davis. You know, we've known her forever. And she would always say, she's a veteran like you are, and she would say that anybody can sell a house in good times. But when times get challenging, some of those people, this is what she said, should just go out and sell copiers.
Yeah.
You know? Now, when it comes to the emotional part of it, this is what I was going to say. Because we packed stuff up when we sold our home and then lived in a couple rentals for a while, Audrey recently was opening up boxes that haven't been open in 6 years. And it was really interesting to be reminded of, wow, we packed that up. How often do you say this? I forgot we had that, you know?
Yeah.
And things that were very heartwarming. So the emotion that that comes with that unpacking and still unpacking is like, wow,
Yeah.
you know, amazing. Now, one of the things
Audrey, do you love Terry Davis better than me? I'm just asking. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
that's funny.
Delete that, please. No, kidding.
So no,
I'm joking.
no, Terry's wonderful. So she is. In fact, she went. This is the kind of realtor you are. We knew Terry from the West Side because we were living in Culver City. Terry represented us out in Agora Hills to find that house for us.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
that she's that kind of
Yeah,
realtor. That,
I said the good ones are great.
yeah.
And that's why, also, if you're looking for a home,
It's just different love.
yeah, if you're looking for a home, this is something that people don't think about. Make sure your agent has a great reputation with other
Their
agents.
peers. Yes.
I'm telling you because I'm proud to say that if I write an offer for property in the area, and the other agent knows me, that's gotten me so far because they're like, Carmen tells the truth. He'll make it happen. It's going to close. So, but
Well, without mentioning names, you and I know unethical agents.
yeah, no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, we do.
There's Vinny Bag of Donuts. Like,
Yeah, right. But no, we know how some of these characters are out there.
yeah, let them do their thing.
So when it comes to the beautiful home that we're renting now, and it's like it is wonderful. And one of the things I wanted to bring up is that, and I saw this when we were going through MLS and Realtor.com, that the price with a red line and a lower price, and that was our place. That was one of them where rental properties were coming down.
Really?
Yes.
I think that's greedy owners who think they could. What's a good politically correct word to say here?
They were overpriced.
Yeah, they were just trying to screw potential tenants. Thinking they can get $12,000 for their home. No different than people who list their homes too high. They were getting greedy. Like my dad used to say, they let their greed exceed their need, and that's the only reason. But if you look at where they ended up, or even homes for sale that were reduced. There's reductions. See, the market's crashing. I'm like, look at where the house is at and where it's going to sell compared to last year, and it's still a lot higher. So, and then this just popped into my head. People are like, "Oh, I heard that like the home sales are down 23% year over year." Well, yeah, because there's no inventory. That's the only reason.
You don't have it, you can't sell it.
There's still multiple offers. There's still buyers out there. There's still people coming to open houses. It's just there's no inventory. I've said with the amount of buyers I'm working with, and I have all the searches set up, and whenever a home pops up for you, for him, it'll come up in my email, and I'll sit there, especially this past couple of weeks with the holidays coming up, for a few hours, and no new properties come up for any price range from
Right.
$700,000 to $4 million. Like nothing pops up. So That's why if you're thinking about maybe listing, people say, oh, it's not a good time to list over the holidays. Yeah, it is, because there's nothing out there. So,
You know, one of the things I've watched you do is follow a game plan. Okay. In fact, there was a realtor about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago came to you that was struggling, and you said, this is how you do it. And this individual was arguing and wanting to do it a different way. And no matter what, whether business is booming, slower, you always follow what got you there, right?
yeah, I mean, during COVID, especially when it was super busy, of course I cared about my clients and my escrows and everything going on, but I did not stop prospecting and calling past clients and texting and social media and hosting little events in my neighborhood. And I kept going even though I was busy, because anybody could thrive when it's busy, but then when
True.
things slowed down, I still had momentum going. And if I didn't have that momentum going, I guarantee it would have been, like for many, it would have been a disastrous year. Because, as the money starts coming in, people take their foot off the gas. And,
Right.
they have 4 properties in escrow, like, and I'm going to go to Cabo for 2 weeks. Like, no, that's when you really put your foot on the gas.
Right.
I never foresaw, well, that was a lot of stuff in here too, but it's been an interesting year.
Right.
But compared to most, well, you asked me this morning how my year was, and I'm like, compared to most of the realtors out there would love to have the year I had, but for me it was far short of what,
Well, you set the bar pretty high for yourself.
yeah.
You really do. I want you to talk about something, and it's your approach with people. It's something I know you do, and it's a very personal touch that you have. You send notes out, texts. You have an app in your phone. I think it's called Reach, correct? And you're not always trying to sell people.
I never do.
You just talk to people, okay?
And I genuinely like, some people will say, sorry, got distracted. Some people say, like they'll send me a text, stop, right?
Right.
Now, it's not an app where I go, 2,000 contacts on my phone, send. I don't. It's personal to each person.
Right.
And they'll put stop, and I always reply. So sorry if I upset you, but just so you know, I send these text messages out just to keep in touch, but I'll stop right away, and it'll always come back to me, oh, we thought it was like a spam text, so you can keep texting me. But yeah, so it's just the consistency. It's like Groundhog's Day. It's just like, well, it's not. I mean, real estate's not like that, but it's just staying in touch with people. Last year we went to a Kings game, and I had 4 people come up to me. Oh my God, I see your videos. Oh, I get your text. Oh my God.
Were you on the Kiss Cam?
Yeah, that's when you and I went. So
He wishes.
yeah, but I just stayed consistent. And I have to say, when COVID hit and everything shut down, and Sid Leibovich, the owner of Rodeo, 1,200 agents, 12 offices, I didn't grow up going, one day and I want to be in real estate. Like, I didn't idolize Sid Leibovich. I don't know who he was. But for 20 months, 7 days a week, at 9 a.m., he had a Zoom call for all 1,200 agents. Whoever wanted to go on, sometime there'd be 50 agents, sometime there'd be 200. I was on that 5 days a week. Weekends, I didn't do it. I learned so much, and it was all about prospecting, and not prospecting in a sleazy slimeball way, just staying in touch with people. And this one agent you're talking about, she was like, I'm just thinking, like, what could I do different? What do you do? I'm like, well, I text people, I call people, I'm on social media. Yeah, but I want to think about something different. What do you think I should do? I'm like, I text people, I call. It's like, it's just keeping it very simple.
As we say in sports, you dance with who brung you.
Yeah, exactly.
If it worked before, it'll continue to work.
Yeah, and I've said it before, but one of the greatest changes I made was every night before I go to sleep or when I leave my office, I'll make my schedule for the next day, when I'm going to text people, when I'm going to call people, when I'm going to do social media. And once in a while on social media, I'll put, hey, my new listing. or hey, I'm at my new listing, look at this view.
Right.
One out of, I don't even know, 20 posts will be about real estate.
Right.
The rest of it, I just want people to know who I am,
Yeah.
what my values are, that I'm a little bit wacky. Like, I don't care, I'll just put it out there, and they get to know who I am, because as Sid always says, if they want to work with you, they have to know you, like you, and trust you.
Right.
That's it. I'm not going to ram down anybody's throat. If they ask me about real estate, or once in a while I'll do a little informative video, little email I'll send out saying, hey, if you've heard that Farmers Insurance is backing out of California, that's not the case. So if you have any questions, let me know. But I'm not selling anything.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But
well, in a couple of my business mentors, going back to when I was like 19 years old, there's a couple of things I've learned in business. One, and this is when you're reaching out, or I reach out to people, is that no one will ever be insulted by an invitation to do business. Always remember that. And you said it in just a little differently just a moment ago, that the number one reason that people do business with someone is because they like them. The talent and the knowledge comes after that.
Yeah.
But if you meet someone, they could be the greatest in the world, but if you don't like them, you know, and the chemistry isn't right,
and there's
that's not going to work.
All personalities match up with all different personalities. And like when I call my past clients, this is the honest truth. I genuinely want to know, like, how you doing? I'm not saying, you know, hey, how you doing? You want to sell your house? No, I'm just like, how you doing? Like, how are the kids? I saw what you posted on Facebook about your new puppy. It's adorable. Like,
Right.
I care. They're giving me the privilege, as you said, to make the biggest purchase of their life or sell their biggest asset. It's
huge.
That's a huge thing for me. And I'm always like flattered. Today I got a call from so-and-so referred you, and I'm always like, wow. And Mary Lee, my wife, is always like, well, that's because you do a good job and you take care of people. I'm like, yeah, but it's so.
Well, I'll tell you this, and this is good for them watching, that I've referred to you at least 4 different people to sell or buy homes, and they all came back raving about Carmen. Now, they weren't raving about the job you did. They were raving about Carmen, okay?
That's cool.
The fact that you did a good job, you know, you did your job, all right, and you did it well. But they loved Carmen, see, and that's the key.
And I mean, viewing audience, just like put yourself. This is how I do. Like, if somebody wants to buy a home for $1 million, I don't care if it's $500,000 or a gazillion dollars.
Right.
They're taking $1 million of their hard-earned money, handing it to me, and saying, "Can you help us spend this the right way?" This is not a healthy lifestyle. Just so you know, but or selling their house where their kids grew up and they have all these memories. And I always tell my clients, especially if there's an emotional attachment to the house, I always tell them, look, when we get an offer, I'll be excited, but just know I understand it's going to be very hard for you to sell this house. So just know you got to have some compassion. And
that's huge.
Thanks to reality shows and $1 million listing and shit like that, stuff like that, it just shed a really slimy, gross, Selling Sunset and all those shows, a really gross image, a grosser image of realtors, because it's not what it's like. There are those out there that are like that, but the good ones, they're not like that. So,
right. Well, in any occupation, mine included, that there's that, what Holly presents, the realtor to the stars, the psychic to the stars. I mean, that gets overplayed.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I had lunch today with, shameless plug, one of the top salespeople at O'Gara, right?
Yeah. Cars.
Cars, yeah.
Yeah.
And she sells Bentleys and Rolls Royces. Her name is Carrie. If you're ever looking for, shameless plug, if you're ever looking for Rolls Royce, Bentley, Maserati, Genesis, Hyundai, and something else, I can't think what else, ask for Carrie over there. My point being, here's Carrie, who sells $400,000 Rolls Royces, has celebrity clientele. She's the sweetest, unslimy. She's just so wonderful. But you see her
Right.
standing by a Rolls Royce or posting on social media, congratulations to John and Mary Smith who bought their,
Right.
Silver Shadow. But there's just this car salesmen, realtors, there's a bad, they're not all like that. They're not.
Oh, no, no,
yeah,
no.
yeah.
The gentleman that we've dealt with for a chunk of years now at Infinity, Dennis O'Brien. I mean, the guy
met
is
him,
just
yeah.
he's
Wonderful.
wonderful, wonderful, and he's there to make people happy. And in fact, he's very much like you.
Yeah, I met
It's
him.
like
I mean,
wanting people to be happy.
Yeah, you got to get somebody who cares about you, not
Right.
just getting a commission check. I mean,
Right. Well, in today's world, people don't want to be sold. They want to be serviced. This is really the way it is. And whether it's what I do or a doctor does or what you do, there has to be a genuine bedside manner.
Yeah, that's funny. Mary Lee went through, as you know, something, and she's fine.
Yes.
But we talked to a doctor, and at first I just wasn't sure.
Right.
But then when she stepped into her groove and started getting stuff done, I'm like, I love her.
Right.
She's very matter of fact, but you could tell she cares. You don't have to be warm and fuzzy and, oh, let's go look at homes and I love you so much. It doesn't have to be that. Just like,
Right.
and different people relate to different things. So if somebody's more business, I'll switch into a little bit more business. If somebody's wacky and goofy, which is usually what I attract, I'll slip into that mode. But my greatest compliment is like when somebody closes and they're like, that was so easy. I'm like, yeah, if you just,
Well, the other thing is if the clients let you do your job and don't interfere, it's going to go a lot smoother.
yeah.
You're in good hands with Carmen.
Yeah, yeah. If they just yeah. There's countless stories.
Sure.
And maybe a couple times over the years, I've had to say to a client, "Did you ever think about getting your real estate license? Because you know a lot about this stuff." Like, no, I would never do that. I'm like, cool. Let me do my job.
Right, right. The other thing about you, Carmen, and it's Audrey and I are like this too, is that you're a natural networker. Okay,
Thanks to Mary Lee, she would always say, "You have to talk to more people." I'm like, rip all my teeth out. Like, I don't want to.
I don't mean join a networking group.
No. But like we would go to like a party or something. I would stand in the corner. I'm like, oh God, get me out of here, please. Now, after Mary Lee would say, you got to talk to more people. Shameless plug number 3. If we're at Made in Italy, the best Made in Italy. If we're at Made in Italy and we're walking out and the girls walk out before me, they know it's going to be another 15 minutes because I'll look at somebody at a table. I'll be like, oh my God, the dessert calzone, is that not the best thing? And it's just part of what I do.
I
But
had
it's
that
not-
for my birthday,
That's a monster.
the dessert calzone.
And you say, okay, I'll remember that.
What?
Next time I say I had a donut, and you had a dessert calzone is like this big. But
Wait a minute. The dessert calzone.
calzone?
The dirt calzone. Yeah. They played baseball with him back east. Dirt calzone.
Dessert calzone. Third baseman.
The calzone, the dessert calzone at Made in Italy is huge. And we did have some of it at dinner that night and had a little bit more at home, like another day, and then there was still this much that we threw away. Did not eat that whole thing.
As long as you believe that, that's okay. So yeah, and look at I genuinely love people. Like, I do love people.
course.
So my networking isn't like, hey, you're having the dessert calzone, great, and if you ever need to buy or sell a home, here you go.
Are you going to eat that?
Yeah. Are you going to bring that home? And where is your home, actually? That calzone is way too big for your home. You need a bigger home. But it's just taking care of people. That's
Right.
all it is.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
Speaking of taking care of people, I know you have your own viewers watching on your feed. Okay, hopefully.
supposedly, I don't believe it for a second.
All right, so tell this audience, if they want to get in touch with you, if they have questions about real estate, even if they're not ready to buy, how do they get in touch with you? And by the way, you do cool videos on Instagram and Facebook. You really do.
Thanks. Yeah, I enjoy
And
them.
sometimes it's just about your dog.
Yeah, trust me, they're not real estate videos. I mean, if you want that, I can send that to you. But yeah, I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. My email is morminoproperties@gmail.com. I mean, I can give them my number. I don't care. It's
Yeah, give out your number.
just ask the universe, and the universe shall provide. 818-693-2181. And look at, I always say, whenever I put out, and like if you send me your email, I'll put you on my video email list, and once a week I'll send out just a quick 1-minute video email, maybe about real estate, maybe about something else. But I always say you don't have to want to sell or buy a home or even be in the market. But if you hear something on the news, you're like, that doesn't sound right, just call me up and say, can you tell me more about this? There's something going on right now. I'm not going to get into that because it'll be another hour, but about realtors and stuff like that, that it's very simple, but the media just blows everything out of proportion. Right. But yeah, I'm always available. Oh, the other thing too is, let's say if you own your home and your plumbing goes out and you're like, we need a plumber, call me. I have plumbers, electricians, contractors, pool guys, I mean, you name it, roofers.
I'm going to add to that for you. He's absolutely right that when we were moving from our different location, there was some carpet damage. And he referred me to not only a guy that really cleaned the carpet, but there was a couple spots where carpet had to be repaired. And I have to tell you that you talk about the name of that company should be Seamless Carpet Repair. Because, oh my goodness.
One of my greatest joys, and I mean this sincerely, I love referring people to other people. I love it. Like, I'll do it all day long because it's, that's how people stay in business, is like that.
Right.
I mean, I did it today, Made in Italy on Thousand Oaks Boulevard. The number is, I don't know what the number is, carry over the dealership.
By the way, my daughter Serena works at Made in Italy.
Yeah.
That's part of the draw, too.
Yeah, so it's...
By the way, I have a question for you about Made in Italy. You do this. When is it coming up again that you wait tables at Made in Italy for that you match the charity?
Yeah, so the past 2 years over the holidays, I don't know if I'm doing it this year. I haven't decided. It doesn't have to be the holidays.
Right. It's really cool what he does.
Because I used, real quick, so I used to wait on tables a million years ago, and I told Antonio and Gianna, if I worked here, I'd be your best server. And Antonio and Gianna were like, you wouldn't last a night here. I'm like, yes, I would. So I said, I'll tell you what, I want to work here. So I did it 2 years in a row. The restaurant pools all their tips. And so what I did was I advertised, I put it out everywhere. And whatever the restaurant made in tips, I matched it and donated to children's cancer. Because my daughter Lola was born with cancer, and she's fine. But so I did it the past 2 years. I like it over the holidays because it's a very holiday vibe.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But I might do it. I mean, I could do it Valentine's Day or whatever. You're
going to go wait on tables while your wife is home and it's Valentine's Day?
We
Seriously?
love each other 365 days of the year. We don't need a date on the calendar.
364 days of the year with that one.
Valentine's Day we don't need. We're like, okay, love you. But
That's a hallmark moment.
Isn't it beautiful? But no, so that's what I did at Made in Italy. I'm going to do it again. And it was a blast. I mean, it was so much fun.
Yeah, we go.
But I had like one client, he ordered a salad to go and he tipped $100. I was like, thank you. But it's a lot of fun. So I'll be doing that soon. I like to do things for the community. I like to do things for my neighborhood. I like to do things for people. I have something else coming up that's a new venture, somewhat related to homes, but not really. But it's going to inspire a lot of people. I'm not going to say what it is, but I like to help people.
Right.
And the last thing I'll say is the doctor that helped, or it was a nurse or somebody at the hospital. I'm like, yeah, what you guys do, like, you help so many people, and you help people find their home. I'm like, yeah, I never thought of that. So,
right.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
But you're good at it.
And that would be me, this guy. No.
So, as we move forward, and there's a few minutes left in the show, so when you look back on the year and it's, we're a couple days from Thanksgiving, what are you grateful for?
A lot. This is going to be very not backwards, but as those who know me or I've put on social media, I've had a rough year for me. Not talking business. I'm talking, and I have to say I'm really grateful for the lessons I've learned this year, which weren't fun. This guy knows. Audrey knows. I'm really grateful. It wasn't fun,
Right.
and it was dicey and painful, but I'm really fortunate that I look at the past and I'm like, thankfully, somebody up there was like, "This, we need to teach some lessons here." I mean, I'm grateful for my beautiful wife and girls, and my mom, and just everything where we live, and just you name it. But when you're in the dark, sometimes you lose sight of how good you have it. I'm not talking materially, I'm just talking in general, and you lose sight of those things. But I'm just really, it's been one hell of a year, and I'm just super, super, super grateful that I went through it. And
Well, one of the things I said to you a few weeks ago, which is a compliment, and it's a word that is not really used much with the younger generation. And one of the compliments for you is that your resilience.
yeah, and that stuck with me when you said that. But look, all I can say is if you're going through a time, it's a time. And again, when you're in the middle of it, I've never been through something like that.
Well, I'll tell you something, and with Audrey and me, and everybody that works at our center, but Audrey and I make people do the work, but okay, we don't do any more work than you, the client, does. Okay, when the client is doing the work, their recovery, resilience, and prospering from the lessons just takes you from here to there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to be thankful for being in pain is very interesting, but that's how you grow. It's something's telling me there's 3 minutes left.
Yes.
Oh, was I not supposed to say that? No, I'm grateful for you guys. Anybody's watching, I'm guessing, knows about the Newmont Center, but they've taken myself and Mary Lee and me and Lola. Thankfully, we're all on the same page in terms of the process, but gotten us through some really tough times. They call us like the Rubik's Cube. It's like, oh, look
true.
at that. Oh, it's like, yeah, it's just fascinating what our little family does. But
getting better all the time and growing.
Yeah.
That's what's really cool. So as this is late November and we're getting toward 2024, and every guest from this point on through the end of the year, one of the things we're talking about when we say 2024 is intentions. What's your intention for 24?
I know what my intention is, but I can't really say too much about it.
Okay.
But it's something I have not even in the works. It's
A concept.
It's
Yeah.
a concept that
Yeah.
came to me from wherever, but it all lines up. My intention is to develop that alongside of real estate. And like you said too, to think big and to have that hop in my step, to know what I'm capable of and to apply it. And I don't know. What's my intention? I don't really think I answer that.
What do you see when we say intention is, what are you going to do that you already see as done? So as you sit here today in November, in 2024, that's happened. Not gonna happen. It's happened.
I really have to say, it's this thing I'm working
Right.
on. I know it with absolute certainty that this was meant to be, and this is going to allow me to share myself and my talents and what I've God-given things that I've been given with masses, and
Sure.
I'm so excited about it. So, yeah, that's it.
Good.
Tune in next year.
Well,
No,
it'll be fun on my end to help you in that process with this, because it's something that's really good.
yeah, it's
really, really good.
And the beauty is, it lines up all the things I'm most passionate about. It just lines it all up, and I'm like, wow, this is, things are just falling into place for it, and that's when you know it's right. Just stay out of the way. That's the other thing. My intention this coming year: stay out of the way.
Get out of your own way, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, just stay out of the way.
Right.
Know it, do it, ask, receive it, and then follow the guidance and make it happen.
Well, when you turn the number 8 on its side, it
It's
looks
infinity.
like wheels.
Oh,
But
wheels.
it is infinity, but it also looks like wheels. So in 2024, let's get ready to roll because things are going to move and they're going to happen.
This
All
guy,
right?
he's good. Him, De Niro.
I know.
That's my De Niro.
You want a fresh one?
Anyways,
Anyway, I think we are just about at the end of the show. Remember that Audrey is not doing a show tomorrow night. She will be back next week. And I will be back on next Tuesday night with astrologer Lisa Allen. We'll be looking at the planets in 2024, what to expect, and how to navigate all that. And as always, wishing all of you who watch and your family, Carmen, a very, very happy Thanksgiving. That you're grateful for what you have and what you get, and from that gratitude, creating more for yourself. It doesn't stop there. When you're truly grateful, the universe blesses that, and it knows that you deserve that, and you're going to have more. That's why gratitude is so important.
it's like when you give somebody a present, and if you give it, and they're like, and they walked away, you're like, okay, I'm going to try it again. Give them a present, they walk away.
Right.
You're like, you're not going to give them presents anymore. So, like, it's not, you don't be grateful just to receive, but you got to say, look, I'm really,
Right.
And with the things I'm given, I want to do my best, so it's like my way of saying thanks. But
Right.
yeah, and take the time this holiday season to slow down. I'm talking to everybody, slow down, savor the season. It's hustle and bustle and craziness and presents and all that stuff, and spend time with those you love.
Exactly.
And if you have stuff from the past, put it
Let it
aside.
go.
Let it go. You can't change the past. Just learn
Right.
from it.
Thank you for coming on the show tonight.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Yeah, as always. And for myself, this is Nick Newmont. You have been watching Mainstream Metaphysics on the Newmont Consciousness Network and Conejo Valley Talk Radio. As always, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I will see you next week. Good night, everyone.
And eat a lot of food. Get bloated.